This video is about the other humility or pride related things, part 2 of 2. The first section is the commend information. Don't commend yourself. 2 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 15 says, don't commend yourself. It says, but let him who boasts, boast in the Lord. For it is not the one who commends himself who is approved, but the one whom the Lord commends. The don't have glory section is next. Revelation chapter 18 verse 7 says, don't give yourself glory. This verse is talking about Babylon. It says, give her as much torture and grief as the glory and luxury she gave herself. So don't give yourself glory like Babylon did. John chapter 8 verse 54 says, don't glorify yourself. It says, Jesus replied, if I glorify myself, my glory means nothing. My Father, whom you claim as your God, is the one who glorifies me. Jeremiah chapter 48 verse 18 says, don't have glory. God said, come down from your glory and sit on the parched ground, O inhabitants of the daughter of Dibon. For he who destroys Moab will come against you and ruin your fortified cities. So instead of coming down from your glory, just don't have glory to begin with. Philippians chapter 3 verse 19 says, don't have your glory be in your shame. It says, for as I have often told you before, and now say again, even with tears, many live as enemies of the cross of Christ. Their glory is in their shame. The next section is the honor-related section. It says in John chapter 7 verse 18, don't gain honor for yourself. Jesus says, he who speaks on his own does so to gain honor for himself, but he who works for the honor of the one who sent him is a man of truth. There is nothing false about him. The insolence section, don't have insolence. Isaiah chapter 37 verse 28 says, don't have insolence. This is God talking through Isaiah about the king of Assyria. It says, because you rage against me, and because your insolence has reached my ears, I will put my hook in your nose, and my bits in your mouth, and I will make you return by the way you came. Jeremiah chapter 48 verse 29 says, don't be insolent. God is talking about Moab. He says, I know her insolence, but it is futile, declares the Lord, and her boasts accomplish nothing. Therefore I wail over Moab. For all Moab I cry out. I moan for the men of Kir Hareseth. The next section is don't be puffed up. Colossians chapter 2 verse 18 says, don't have your unspiritual mind puff you up. The verse says, do not let anyone who delights in false humility and the worship of angels disqualify you from the prize. Such a person goes into great detail about what he has seen, and his unspiritual mind puffs him up with idle notions. He has lost connection with the head. Finally, the last subsection is other related things. So Isaiah chapter 26 verse 5 says, don't dwell on high. It says, he humbles those who dwell on high. He lays the lofty city low. He levels it to the ground and casts it down to the dust. Daniel chapter 11 verse 36 says, don't magnify yourself above every god. This is the one who looked like a man in Daniel's vision, speaking about an evil actor in the end times. The king will do as he pleases. He will exalt and magnify himself above every god, and will say unheard of things against the God of gods. Ezekiel chapter 28 verse 2 says, don't say I am a god. God said, Son of man, say to the ruler of Tyre, this is what the sovereign Lord says. In the pride of your heart you say, I am a god. I sit on the throne of a god in the heart of the seas. Therefore I am going to bring foreigners against you, the most ruthless of nations. Ezekiel chapter 28 verse 9 says, don't say, I am a god. God says, will you then say, I am a god, in the presence of those who kill you? You will be but a man, not a god, in the hands of those who slay you. Psalm 36 verse 2 says, don't flatter yourself too much in your own eyes to detect your sin. This is an oracle, or it says, an oracle is within my heart concerning the sinfulness of the wicked. For in his own eyes he flatters himself too much to detect his sin. That's an incredible verse. I don't not want to detect my own sin. And I don't want to be hypocritical, I probably have many times. Psalm 36 verse 2 also says, don't flatter yourself too much in your own eyes, to hate your sin. It's the same verse. It says, for in his own eyes he flatters himself too much to hate his sin. This is an oracle within the psalmist's heart concerning the sinfulness of the wicked. Psalm 12 verse 8 says, don't freely strut around. It says, the wicked freely struts about when he is vile. Strut about when what is vile is honored among men. The wicked freely strut about when what is vile is honored among men. Ezekiel chapter 34 verse 15 says, don't be sleek. God says, I myself will tend my sheep and have them lie down, declares the sovereign Lord. I will search for the lost and bring back the strays. I will bind up the injured and strengthen the weak, but the sleek and the strong I will destroy. I will shepherd the flock with justice. Isaiah chapter 2 verse 12 says, don't be lofty. It says, the Lord Almighty has a day in store for all the proud and lofty, for all that is exalted, and they will be humbled. Men will flee to caves in the rocks and to holes in the ground from dread of the Lord and the splendor of his majesty when he rises to shake the earth. Isaiah chapter 26 verse 5 says, don't be lofty. About God it says, he lays the lofty city low, he levels it to the ground and casts it down to the dust. Feet trample it down, the feet of the oppressed, the footsteps of the poor. Job chapter 10 verse 16 says, don't hold your head high. Job says, if I hold my head high, you stalk me like a lion and again display your awesome power against me. I don't want God to stalk me like a lion, and I don't want him to display his awesome power against me.